Hey everyone, I am in an Audi today. Now, as you guys may know from the previous episode, I did sell my car. I sold my Clio RS. That was a bit of a shameful sell, but I had to do it. Wanted to move on, wanted something a bit nicer, wanted something a bit more comfortable, and also an automatic for a daily. I have my toy now, I have my MX5 that I can tinker around, have fun and track and manual, and I want something in automatic. So now I am actually in the market for a new car. Now what I wanted to do is actually involve you guys, involve everyone in my decision making as well to buy a new car. The first car is now what I'm in here today. This is the very new Audi S5. Now thanks to Audi Alto Hills for giving me this Audi S5. Just to drive around and just to see if I like it or not. This is the coupe. They don't have the sports back yet. Shame. But we're going to try it. It's going to be the same car anyway. Let's head off. Alright, what is actually my criteria for the new car? I wanted it to be a 4-door, I wanted it to be a sedan, I also wanted it to be kind of comfortable and luxurious, I guess, to kind of move on to that next step. I also really wanted something that's a bit more punchier than the Clio, as well as everything's kind of going towards that 4-cylinder, 2-liter turbo engine in the future, as that's the most efficient and also the most cheapest way to get power, I guess. I wanted to get something that's not a 4-cylinder. I've always had a 4-cylinder in my life, so I would love, it's not a necessity, but I would love for the engine to be a 6-cylinder or an 8-cylinder. Good for me is that the S5 and the S4 has that 6-cylinder turbo. It's a nice kind of area to be driving around in as well. Those are actually the only two criteria that I have, and the cars that fall into that criteria for me right now is what I'm actually looking at. So you have the 340 or the 440, the C43 AMG, or you could go to the C250 for the 4-cylinder, and then obviously the S4, the S5, or the A4 and the A5 Quattro. I want to start off by talking about the exterior and the general look of the car between those three. In all the three models, shamefully, between the base model to the sports model, so you're looking at the 320 to the 340, the C250 to the C43, the A4 to the S4, the A5 to the S5. Shamefully, there's no difference in the exterior apart from maybe a chrome trim here and there, which I thought was a shame because it's something that could attract more people to go into the S range. It's the same as well for the interior. The interior is all exactly the same except for a trim here and a trim there. It's good to note that I still think that the Mercedes C-Class looks the best, especially if you get the coupe. The interior of the Mercedes still looks the most beautiful. It's got a little bit more class than the rest. I'm a BMW guy, I'm a BMW fan, so it hurts for me to say that the BMW honestly looks the worst. The interior is just a bit dull, and for the money that you're paying, you're not getting anything out of it compared to just an ordinary 320, which is a big shame. Now, the Audi wins out of all of them only because I think they're pretty smart in a way that they made the base model look aggressive, so that even though it's the same with the S model, the base model looks sporty already, so the S model looks good. They're still the same, but they look a lot better than just an ordinary 340, which looks very dull, to be honest. The interior-wise, the Audi, it looks nice. I wouldn't say it's bad, and I think the quality of it feels a lot nicer than the 340. You don't really get anything different. The trim is just changed from like a piano black or an aluminium to carbon fiber. I would prefer the aluminium, I think, instead of the carbon fiber or the piano black, but that's just me. You get a different steering wheel, which I think the other cars do as well, and it is a nicer steering wheel. They provide you with options that you can't even get in the BMW. I'm not sure if you can get it in Mercedes, but you can't get it in the BMW. For example, these seats. You get these nice S-range seats, and they're bucket seats. Their bolstering is amazing, and they look pretty spectacular. you know, you want to get something that you feel when you're getting a $100,000 car. $340,000, $100,000, all you get is normal seats that look, you know, like a 3 Series. And not only that, it looks like a 3 Series seats from the 90s. It has not changed and it looks horrible. Obviously the Audi's got the virtual cockpits as well as the heads-up display. In the S5, that's all a standard. For this S5 specifically, what have they changed from this previous S5? It's gone from a 6-cylinder supercharged to a 6-cylinder turbocharged. It is a new engine. It is not the same engine with just a turbocharge. They've made it completely different so that it's a hot turbo setup, meaning that the turbo is actually within the V shape itself. So you got the V and the turbo right in the middle. What does that do? It completely gets rid of turbo lag, and the car, you feel it. It feels amazing right now. The engine gets you 500 Newton meters of torque. Now, I don't really need to talk about kilowatts. That has absolutely no use on the road. It's the torque. 500 Newton meters of torque is plenty, and it's very, very good. It's fast. It's a quick car. They've changed it to a ZF gearbox, so they're not using the dual clutch transmission, or they call it the S-tronic, to go with the 6-cylinder turbo. I really love that move. It is now an 8-speed ZF gearbox, and I've always loved the ZF gearbox from the BMW days as well. It's fast. It's not as fast as the dual clutch, but it's fast, it's smooth, and it's reliable. I did have a chance of driving it in some form of a twisty road around the corners and whatnot, and the car feels great. The car feels quite tight, and the steering is actually quite agile, and it's very, very sharp actually in the turn-in, and from an Audi that's quite good. Obviously, this has a Quattro system, and it's the very latest Quattro system from Audi, and you can feel it. Does the steering have any feeling? Does the steering have any sense of, I don't know, any sensation? None. Absolutely not. And that's what you can expect from an Audi anyway. That's what I've experienced from all of the other Audis that I've driven, and that is probably one reason why I never got one before. But I will say this, you feel the Quattro system kind of kick in through the corners. You feel this kind of sense of tucking in. I think it's the thing that's worth mentioning in this car specifically is that understeer is very minimal to absolutely none at all. Of course, one thing that I really wanted in the next car is a kind of a duality of a sports car as well as a comfortable luxury car. And this one does it perfectly. See, the S5 has the magnetic ride, meaning that it has the dynamic chassis control, which is something that I really, really wanted, because in dynamic mode or sports mode, the car just comes out alive. It's super aggressive, it's super bitey, it's touchy, and everything that you want out of like a European sports car. The exhaust sounds amazing, the engine sounds good, and the suspension is super tight. And it's really good to mention that even though the suspension feels super tight and feels perfect on the corners, it's actually still really comfortable. But when I put on comfort like I am on now, it's just quiet. It's soft. I feel like I'm on clouds. And that's something that I really love, because it's that duality of the car. When you're just driving from A to B into the city, it feels like you're in a 7 Series. It feels like you're in an A8. It feels amazing. And yet you're in an S-Class range car. A very a not so high S-range car as well. You have to think about that this is still an A5, A4 chassis. You're not going into the 7 or the 8s or the 6. Now, can we talk about the sound of the car? Obviously, I wanted a 6-cylinder for the sound, and with a sports car like this, these days as well, sound is quite important with what people buy in cars, also what people modify in cars as well. The sound is pretty great in this S5. Now, not amazing, not RS3 amazing, but then again, this is not an RS model, and I'm pretty sure that if the S5 sounds this good, the RS5 is going to sound pretty mental. What do you get from that sound? You get a bit of engine sound, which is what I love from the 6-cylinder, but shame because it is a 6-cylinder turbo. The sound of the 6-cylinder is a bit dulled down. The exhaust sounds pretty good, especially for a stock one. This doesn't have any kind of tricked out Audi RS performance exhaust or anything like that. This is just a standard S5 exhaust, and it sounds pretty damn good. We're just at a red light now. Now, if we switch it down to dynamic, turns on, auto starts turns off, you're on S mode, you're in dynamic, you can hear the engine now starts to purr. The exhaust is a little bit more rumblier, a bit more burble, grumble, and it sounds pretty amazing. And you get this. As you can see, the sound is very masculine, the sound is very aggressive, and it's awesome to hear than just a 4-cylinder sound, right? Alright, there you guys have it. That was my take and my drive of the new 2017-2018 S5. Still undecided whether I'm gonna get an S5 or an A4, maybe another suggestion that you guys might come up with. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below. Like this video if you do like the car, like a video if you like me. Subscribe please for more videos coming up. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time.